Welcome to the Business Agility Podcast. Today, I'm going to be speaking to Wayne Smallman, a veteran, a Scrum Master, and a delivery lead who's working a lot in the public sector. His company, Scrum, they've been trading for about 5 years now, and they like to help different customers with either in-person delivery or workshops, which can be done in person or remotely. And we're also going to speak about his Agile O Group venture with Jake Rowley. So thanks for joining. Let's go. Wayne, thanks for taking the time to come along.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All the way down from Gloucester town.
Yeah, it's hour and a half over the bridge.
Oh, wow.
What view over there? It's one of the Brecon Beacons.
No traffic today. So,
Yeah. Christmas time is no traffic at all.
So, your sort of journey towards agility, you're a veteran, right?
Yeah.
How long did you serve for?
Just over 10 years.
10 years
in the British Army. So as a vehicle mechanic.
Cool. So quite a difference now with being a Scrum Master, Agile delivery lead.
Yeah.
So talk us through it.
So as I said, joined the army straight from school at 16. Did just over 10 years, tour of Afghanistan, a couple of trips to Canada and Kenya, and then a bit of Europe as well. Just like I was based there as well, which was good fun. Lots of experience, a lot about myself and leadership, a lot about different cultures because I wasn't really that well traveled before I joined. And then I left and got a job as a service engineer. So kind of pretty much just traded my old uniform for a different uniform. And I kind of left because I wanted to be at home and start a family. And ironically, I traveled more than in the next 4 years after I left. So did a lot of travel to India, China, all over Europe, America, Mexico, Europe and Africa as well. As a service engineer, installing battery machines, like battery manufacturing machines. I shifted into sales as in the same company, selling the manufacturing equipment, which was quite nice because I could take customer feedback and understand it technically and bring it back to the company to help improve the machinery. It turned out like they weren't quite aligned with how to develop things that I was thinking in a more iterative manner before I'd even read the Scrum Guide or thought about anything to do with Agile. And it was at that point I was like, I feel I want to scratch a bit more of an itch and help have a bit more influence on the technical development of products.
Okay.
So I got a job as a project manager, thinking I could change the world.
Good luck.
Sadly mistaken. I had a nice set of requirements to deliver against, and I was also studying business management and Scrum, the Scrum framework at the time, retrospectively applying it to my time in the forces, my time as a service engineer, my time in sales. And then I finally had an opportunity to scratch the itch and take a job as a Scrum Master.
Okay.
My first job was at MBDA down in Bristol as a permanent Scrum Master. I loved it, really enjoyed it. Very people focused, product focused, and that kind of team focused as well, with that technical element. So I was like, this is after 5 years of leaving the forces. That was my kind of aha moment. This is the job for me.
Yeah.
And then I carried on down that route as a contractor then after that engagement. So, and now I'm on my third engagement under my company called Scrum.
Yeah.
So
Scrum was born after MBDA, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Just after that. So, had the opportunity obviously to go back there as a contractor as well, which was nice, which just finished a couple of months ago.
And with Scrum, what's the kind of engagements you do?
So, your typical bread and butter consultancy type of approach where you're coming in as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, delivery manager, etc. That type of role where you're trying to influence and improve the ability for the company to deliver value.
Okay.
There's also we do training workshops as well to ideally to demonstrate value that we can offer within a couple of days, and then if they like what they see and they like what they do, hopefully they can utilize as a consultancy if there's funding there available for us. But if not, we can add value in a couple of days with a 2-day workshop where we bring Scrum to life. It's all activity-based learning, get the Lego out, get the origami frogs out, all that type of stuff. So, it's just evolved over the years since I've started Scrum. It started with an itch to scratch when I went down to an army camp in Bulford. and they were open to using Scrum or heard of it, but never really had anyone to kind of lead the way on it.
Yeah.
They were struggling with vehicle availability, low morale in the junior ranks, and that type of stuff. And I went there. I engaged with the engineering officer on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Said, I've got a gap between my permanent job and my next contract. Would you be open to me coming down and do a workshop, free of charge type of thing for an itch to scratch? Delivered what Scrum is as a model on a whiteboard, and then then we looked at what they did, and we started doing a bit of a systems thinking exercise.
Yeah.
And before we even heard of Kanban, and mapped out what it looks like to get a vehicle from faulty back into service. We split the room into fours. I think we had officers, senior managers, middle managers, and junior ranks. And they went away and built a system out, and it was quite amazing to see the differences at different levels throughout that system.
2 different viewpoints and how it comes together. Yeah.
And then we merged them all together, and they had a really robust system then that they could visualize and follow the process, and they could apply that to other things as well, whether that's recovering vehicles or doing planning for exercises, that type of thing. The thing that I think they took away mostly was to visualize their work and get the junior people involved in the planning. A lot of the senior people I had spoken with before the workshop had started in the morning, having a coffee over, were talking about how disengaged the young lads were. They're not interested in getting involved, type of thing. And then we did a kind of role play Scrum exercise with some post-its with vehicle registrations and various faults, with a goal in mind to deliver 4 vehicles in the next 2 weeks. So we let the junior ranks play it out, plan it, and as soon as they played it back to the seniors, one of the sergeants stood like, no, whoa, I won't do that. I wouldn't do it that way. I was like, this is a completely safe environment. We're moving post-its around. No one's turning spanners or ordering spares. And you're stopping them and micromanaging them at this level. So you wonder why they're demotivated. And later on in life, as Mill Scrum's developed, I've realised that kind of people need that autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And we really do talk about that in our workshops. Particularly the differences between operational tools and being back in barracks. And we can talk about that a bit more if you want to.
No, that's cool. No worries. So you mentioned it there, because of Mill Scrum.
Yep.
All of but Scrum seems to have brought it to life for you from the agile side of things. But you mentioned Kanban there quite a bit. Talk to me about your sort of Kanban journey. How did that come about?
So, as I said, I was doing a lot of it. I think I speak to a lot of people. Kanban is common sense.
Yeah.
But common sense doesn't always apply.
It's not always common, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I've always been a visual person or kinesthetic type of learner. And as soon as I did my Scrum Better with Kanban training with Matt Odell.
Oh yeah,
at Kanban University, who you know well.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like visualize work. Yeah, I know this. Like, it should be a board with about work we've got to do and how we can do it. Whether that's columns or just be able to visualize what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And then kind of just being able to limit your work in progress. That was quite a new one for me. Like in the army, I used to kind of spin in quite a lot of different plates or doing lots of different things at once. But it's quite interesting to see the how the inefficiencies of doing lots of things at once.
Yeah.
And then just kind of being able to like that systems thinking approach to just to work and understanding the phases, so you can identify blockers, identify impediments, and then improve it.
Yeah.
I think the continuous improvement part was always a part of me, but at the same time, I think it's been more formalized with like recognizing that you have to stop regularly to inspect and adjust, and having Kanban to support teams gives you those flow metrics, how you out to identify where the blockers actually are in the process.
Yeah.
And yeah, but my first training was Scrum Better with Kanban, and then I did my Kanban system design again with Matt Odell as well. And that was really, it formalized a lot of my thinking into a process. And similar with Scrum, I was thinking in that type of way anyway. I never planned for more than a month. And like I generally, when we did an exercise, we do an a post exercise report, or on the operation tools, you do after action reviews and things like that. So a lot of this training formalized my ways of thinking anyway.
Yeah.
So being able to adopt Scrum, Kanban, and Agile was quite easy for me. If you know,
Yeah.
it's just learn how to talk to people about it and train people and coach and bring it to life in that manner as well. Because obviously not everyone's on the same wavelength.
You mentioned there about Scrum better with Kanban. I think that's something that I see quite often is, Scrum will be, because it's the most common framework, right? When it comes to agile ways of working. Kanban can really supercharge Scrum.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll hear people saying, oh, we're doing Scrum, but we want to go to Kanban. It's like, why are you making the choice? It's, if Scrum doesn't work for you, I get it.
Mhm.
And then alternative path. Yeah, I get that. But I just see it as it's like steroids for Scrum, basically.
Yeah. It's
illegal.
really
But yeah, it really does. And you mentioned there Kanban system design. That has always been my favorite course to deliver. I love Kanban system design and how Kanban system improvement takes it on the level. What I'm really excited about with Kanban University is the delivery manager.
Yeah.
I've just had the content in the last couple of weeks, and I need to do a lot of work with that. But that's what I'm definitely going to be bringing. And I think that delivery manager aspect, which uses a lot of different aspects of the Kanban University curriculum, I think that's going to be a real game changer for places because, well, you see it in the market now, right?
Yeah.
The demand for a delivery manager is much, much higher than other roles we might have seen in the past, such as Agile Coach, Scrum Master. I'm not saying they've gone away, but the demand for delivery manager definitely seems to.
Absolutely, and that's my current contract role at the moment is delivery manager, not Scrum Master or Agile Coach. It's definitely someone who's focused on the effectiveness of delivery and making sure you remove impediments.
Yeah.
And making sure that the delivery is happening, tracking against certain milestones, and kind of it's definitely a blended approach. And sometimes you need to, some not all Scrum Masters like to get into the trenches and get their hands dirty. So like having a delivery manager who can maybe get their hands dirty, and
I think that's just an evolution of the role itself, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, people don't always just want a coach; they want someone who's going to get that bit closer, more skin in the game. Dare I say it? I think most of the good ones I knew did that anyway.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming more formalized. I was lucky when I worked at Shell. I got to do the delivery manager role for a good portion of that engagement, and it's funny that the biggest eye opener there for me was when I was working as a team coach. It was very easy to speed the team up, and obviously, the team of teams wasn't too bad. But when you took on the role of delivery manager and looking at it from that higher level view, it was funny how the work often got blocked at, for want of a better term, at that epic level.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people are looking at, features, stories, tasks, however you want to break it down, it was the higher collective is where it would stall.
Yeah.
And until someone started managing that, you could see how you were getting bits of things, but not the whole shooting match to get the real value.
Yeah, you don't have a stop-start flow of the noise. Like, oh, you could start that. Actually, we don't know what else to do with that now because that's not been well refined enough. Not as in like refined as in backlog refined, but as in figuring out what we're trying to do with that big thing, what direction we're going in, what color do you want it, who's going to be the main user of it, that type of thing. So
I a lot of the time I was saying, while I was there, I've been able to speed the cogs of the wheel up, but I can't speed the wheel up. And until we really focus there, that's when the wheels started to really turn and deliver that value. And that was something that, as I said, I really enjoyed. And now with that, training becoming available, I'm really excited to start delivering that one.
Yeah.
We spoke about your sort of journey into, the world of business agility.
Yeah.
Where do you see people go wrong with it? Where are the common mistakes you've seen so far?
From a practitioner perspective or from a adoptee?
Both.
Okay. So I've learned my lessons as a practitioner where you learn stuff on a training course and you come back to the team, you're like, right, we're going to limit our work in progress. And they're like, absolutely no chance. And until you get them to understand how the benefits of it, or we say like, do you feel like you're doing too many things at once? And it's how you approach that subject with the developers or the product owner or the people within the team. So I think that's from a practitioner perspective, and if you're trying to coach and mentor, like
Yeah.
see a problem, air the problem, talk about it, offer solutions if they haven't come up with their own,
Yeah.
and coach them in that way. And that's where I've really evolved. I think since I've left the military is my coaching ability, being able just to talk about problems and hear problems and then ask more about it and dig in and get the answers from them, with some guidance as well. But from an adoptee perspective, I think in business when we're going to be agile or we're gonna adopt Scrum because Kanban doesn't work for us. It's like, okay, why? Like,
Yeah.
why are you why are you doing that? And that's, I think, the biggest. I think when people say big businesses mainly adopt agile is, well, what are you doing at an enabling level to allow your people to deliver in an agile way? How are you bringing the customers closer to the developers so they can get feedback quickly and iterate and develop for stuff massively? And I think in this day and age, it's criminal not to be able to do that with like the benefits of 3D printing, or you don't have to just draw something on a piece of paper anymore. You can actually 3D print it in an hour
Yeah.
and then have something to show somebody. And is this what you meant? And just like this type of color, is this the size you wanted? As a replica model, or what do you think scale wise from this to that? I think, and again with AI, like say kind of the vibe coding thing, I'd say that I'm not an expert in that field at all, but just being able to get quick and dirty products to market quickly is a game changer for businesses now.
See, you mentioned AI there, and I think one of the things now that, and again, I am not, you know what I mean, my adoption of these tools and the shifted approach with it. What I am seeing is the bottleneck used to be, if you look in the system, the bottleneck was often in and around the development of that product and then the testing. With a lot of these automated tools, it's shifted.
Mm,
That's actually now fast flowing.
mm,
The bottleneck now is up front, because unless you can shape your ask and really understand what you're trying to do and break it small enough so you remove as much ambiguity as possible, then what you get at the end isn't what you wanted, and then you've got that failure demand going back in
yeah,
and so forth. So that bottleneck has really shifted now,
Yeah.
and I think that's a bit where people think, oh, it's going to replace our job. It's going to replace the way you do your job,
yeah,
and having that clarity up front. And a lot of that clarity is going to come from collaboration, refinement, kicking things around long enough, breaking it small enough, and visualizing what you all believe that to
Yeah.
be. Because if I say to you, think of an elephant, and I think of an elephant, yeah, we're both thinking of elephants, but yours might be, I don't know, in the jungle, and mine's in the desert.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Absolutely. And what more came to mind then was, if you prompt ChatGPT or any of the other kind of AI tools, if you prompt them with, "Can you draw me an elephant?" or "Give me an image of an elephant," you're going to get two different elephants, like on different times. And it might not be what you want. Again, it's about that refinement of how you prompt stuff, and say utilizing agents and stuff to rapidly do that as well. So having like your expert which I've experimented with, and I think it's really interesting,
Oh, yeah.
exciting time to do it. And as say business, particularly in like defensive government, you're seeing it in like Ukraine at the moment with their rapid innovation, because they have to physically. And I always like to kind of tie kind of business agility back to defense, because that's where I spent most of my time.
Yeah.
Although I've been out 10 years now, as well as long as I've been out as long as I was in. It's still very clear in my mind, and I see programs and projects struggling and to be agile, as in iterative or incremental, in their approach to developing products and services, for soldiers, service people. It is quite frustrating to watch as a taxpayer, seeing billions and billions of pounds go down the drain. But yeah, there's a couple of programs at the moment that that I talk about quite often on LinkedIn, and I think I could save £2 billion there quite easily. I think, just if I had a bit of an influence on the product development side of things.
Yeah. And that's the rewarding thing, I think, with the roles that we've chosen, is that when you see that influence become adopted and change the way, one of the things I really love is, in our role, a lot of the time we're going to somewhere and it's very clear that if not everyone, a lot of people at the team level, as well as at that leadership level, multiple leadership levels, will be overwhelmed. And by working together collaboratively, and I'll say it often, I need you guys to slow down to be able to speed up.
Yeah.
And when it takes a while for that message to go through, and then when it does, and you see the change in the atmosphere, that stress level dropping, the feeling of, that the whole sort of team feeling lifting because they've delivered something they said they were going to do,
Yeah.
and they're meeting it, and leadership start to get confidence in, when that demand comes in, we can meet that demand now because we understand our capacity better, and we're able to break the work smaller, collectively understand it to be able to deliver it.
Yeah.
Generally think what we do is an absolute privilege.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not easy to do, but when you see it land, it's the greatest reward, I think.
Yeah, I think some of the models, the frameworks and models that kind of say Scrum, Kanban, and one I've kind of been studying a lot more this year is evidence-based management.
Yeah.
And the common thing for all of those is focus.
Yeah.
Like obviously Scrum is one of those values. Kanban, limited work in progress. You're focused on one thing. Or kind of with evidence-based management, you're looking at kind of strategic goal, intermediate goal, and an immediate tactical goal. And that's to me, your product goal. Like, what's your first thing we need to do and get done and deliver? And then you can break that down into, well, how long is that roughly do you think going to take us? Month, 6 months, year type of thing. And break that down into a backlog of work that you can deliver. And obviously evolve and change that as you kind of learn more. I think that's the key thing in anything is focus. Get rid of all the noise, cut through all the noise, and simplify processes, stuff if you can automate stuff, do it. But if you can't, then just focus on what you need to do.
Control, what you can do. One of the big things I'm really excited about, and we haven't touched upon this yet, but one of the real game changers for me has been the 6 types of work in Genius.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, as I said, with Kanban, it's a method for work management, knowledge work management, right? Scrum, great way to, great framework to adopt to be able to give you that focus and so forth. But the 6 types of work in Genius, the reason I see that as such a game changer in what we do is the ability for that group, that team, that wider team of teams to understand each other as individuals who make up that group. And when they understand, because, although we do the same role, take a title away, very similar in what we do, right? But the elements I love and the elements you love, they may be different, and the elements others are. And when you understand that about each other, and not just the elements you love, but what are the elements that you could do, and maybe you're brilliant at it because you've got to where you are, but it's like pulling teeth for you.
Yeah.
And if I understand that, no, they're the elements that Wayne loves.
Yeah.
If we do that, you get more joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
I get less frustration, therefore I get more joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that goal of that longer-lived team to be able to deliver more effectively, we have better understanding between ourselves, and we can deliver more effectively. And it's less likely I'm going to quit or look for a job elsewhere, or the unhappiness, comes to the forefront.
Yeah.
So, and burnout, you reduce burnout. And we see it more and more with the type of work that we enable people to perform better. It's a constantly, evolving picture that the fatigue that comes from that, if you think about it, think how work has changed over, 20, 30, 40 years. We can do now stuff in an hour that used to take people a whole day.
Yeah.
But that comes as a cost. You know what I mean? The fatigue that comes with it. So if we could take away those frustrations and enable the joy and fulfillment, that fatigue doesn't kick in as quick.
Yeah. I think a really good example of that recently is that I'm not a finisher. I don't like to polish things and make them all look pretty.
Yes.
I like to design stuff. I like to build it, and then I don't really care what color it is, the type of thing. And then, like I say, I've just built a media wall. So this weekend and over the last couple of weekends. And then yesterday was the painting the skirting board and doing all the cutting in. I'm like, literally like pulling teeth. I hated it. I didn't want to do it, but knocking stuff together, smashing a nail gun in and putting wood together, that gives me a lot of joy and fulfillment. And if I could have offloaded, I would have.
Yeah.
But I started it and I wanted to finish it. But like the the bits where you like the finicky millimeters of margin with cutting in with stuff.
As that's the tenacity element of those 6 types of working
Yeah.
genius, you know, and think about
Exactly.
wonder, invention, discernment, enablement, and tenacity there. And tenacity is the one for some people, they get the buzz, you know what I mean? They love that. For myself, it's the, sorry, what I missed earlier, galvanization.
Yeah.
I love the galvanize the group and the invention.
Yeah.
If you want an idea, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Are all those ideas going to be good? Hell no. That's where the discernment bit kicks in. This is how understanding who has what element to offer can really make teams more effective. And then understanding across the team of teams with that shared language, that's the stuff that can really speed people up. And I said, for me, it was very much a missing element in, you know, what we offer. And where I've delivered it so far, still really early, you know, adoption, but I've seen it with groups of leadership teams, you know, delivery teams and so forth, and it's just accelerated them so much.
I think that's the part about, say, the frameworks like Scrum and Kanban and others. It's not about understanding people. Like that's as a Scrum Master, you should be as part of your job, and having that working genius in your back pocket as a tool to be able to like, okay, we're going to do a workshop and to understand a bit more about each other and know what makes people tick, what fires people up, what grinds people down. Probably more importantly, is really important. So having that in your back pocket as a Scrum Master is something I think should be maybe your target audience. That people in that type of delivery, human facing role, probably is your target audience for that. But yeah, I think I say I've done it with yourself. It was really impactful and insightful just to understand a bit more about me, but the people that were complete strangers in the group I was with. So yeah, it's quite cool.
It builds that collective knowledge and that builds empathy very early. As I said, really see it accelerate. We've been lucky to work for some really good leaders over the years. What are the elements that stood out for you in those great leaders? What did you see on display from them that really made the difference?
I think so it's varied throughout my kind of career. Like in the military, it was very much like look the part, kind of passionate about your career, like look after the people, look after the blokes, we used to call it. You know, so yeah, obviously there was females in the military, but I was like just kind of phrase. And then I think it's evolved over time is like that kind of giving a crap about your people, like is still that kind of thread that's followed through all the way throughout all the jobs that I've done. And I've been on the receiving end where I've worked late and so my manager hasn't told me that the overtime stopped. I was like, okay, cool, really nice, and that's really demotivated me now. But like, whereas like going into work with people that I kind of just care, and that's what I try to embody as well. I think the best book I ever read about leadership was Bob Chapman's Everybody Matters, and he talks about like human center of things, and I try to embody most of what he kind of gives people, like he offers in the book. Just to the point where, like, if you have someone who's a bit snarky or a bit short or a bit aggressive in a meeting, just taking them aside, like, afterwards, like, is everything okay? Like, remember, rather than going away and slagging them off behind their back and just seeing them as that's them as a person. It's like, I've done it before where I had quite say 50, 60-year-old guy, very short, sharp, aggressive, a bit shouty in the meeting. And then the difference in the approach I could have went, and it's like, that was out of order, or is everything okay at home?
Yeah.
Like, I knew he had some building work going on at home, so I was like just checking in with him, and the difference in our relationship afterwards was huge.
Yeah.
So I think the best leaders that I've come across actually just care about the people, check in with people. Our mutual friend Matt, like, guy always checks in with me, like on a weekly, daily basis, if not. Especially if I've been quiet or whatever, he will always check in with me, and it's like I see him as the epitome of.
Do you know, I talk about, obviously we mentioned Matt O'Dell, it's a different Matt. I mean, does work with other people.
Just Matt, no, I only work with Matt's.
Yeah, but they are better, I'm just saying. Yeah, it's Matt Spruce, and, you know, I'd be lucky I worked with Matt for a good couple of years there.
Yeah.
I genuinely think his ability to read a room and show empathy for the people in the right way, best of any leader I've seen.
Yeah.
I can see why he did so well. in his military career and why he's doing so well now.
Yeah.
Because that human touch, that empathy that he demonstrates, he really demonstrates he cares. And he, as I said, he can energize the room, he can calm the room, he can direct the room, he can let it free.
Yeah.
And that intuition is always really, really spot on.
I think it's something you can teach. Like, I'm not naturally an empathetic person. I'm quite an emotive or emotional person, but I'm not empathetic. I find it hard to put myself in someone else's shoes until I stop and think about it and talk with them and hear them. So it's not my natural go-to, but as I say, as I've developed as a coach, I've always had that in the back of my mind. Like, everybody matters. And it's literally from that book. And it's like, just because someone's having a bad day or they've having a bad month or just a disgruntled employee, a lot of people go to, right, let's sack them, cut them off their deadwood, sort of things. Like, actually, everyone matters. So, like, just take that second just to speak with people and understand them a bit more. And that's probably been the most impactful book I've read since leaving the forces. And say I follow him on LinkedIn and things like that as well. He's just retired, actually. From part of he was the CEO of Barry Wyman, and he's just passed down to his son.
Okay.
So really, really interesting, like, kind of story and book as well. So definitely worth a follow.
Awesome. We're coming towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
What are you excited about learning more of in the new year?
Oh, I think I would like to definitely. I've got to double down a bit more on my kind of AI learning. It's inevitable in how it kind of just from a business efficiency, my own business efficiencies, be able to say utilize it for marketing, utilize tools in workshops, building, refining my workshop around AI as well. Because say even in kind of the public sector, in like secretive places like defense and government, like they're having to use it because they're going to have to keep up with industry. I think I learned about Wardley mapping from yourself, and it's like it's turning into a commodity very rapidly. As part of like the everyday daily function. So I think that's where I want my learning to focus on in the new year, is kind of around the AI parts of how it can help me with a business, but also help me as a delivery manager, agile coach, that type of thing, to be more effective and efficient. But yeah, that's my main kind of my driving learning factors this year coming up.
Okay. And one other driving factor, yourself and Jake Rowley are looking to evolve the Agile O Group. Tell us a bit about that. What's on the horizon?
So the Agile O Group was born. Jake was the main driver for it initially, and we spoke about it at length. I think it's got to be just over 2, maybe 3 years old now, if not older. Where we started doing the virtual coffee chat once a month. We were connecting like people that were LCAS approved, which is enhanced learning credits for service leavers, to utilize their learning credits with approved suppliers.
And that Agile O Group is very much targeted at the service leavers demographic.
Military veterans. Anyone, you could be just in the process of leaving, you could have left, you could be a 10-year veteran like myself, and you're welcome in that community. It's a safe space for service leavers and veterans to come into and ask stupid questions like, what's a daily scrum?
There's no stupid question.
Exactly. Well, if Batman's ill, can Robin drive the Batmobile? That's a stupid question. But obviously not. It can't. It's the Batmobile.
It's the Batmobile.
But I think it's a safe space for them to come in and ask questions. Like this year's, it's dipped quite a lot massively for me and Jake, and he posted about it recently and apologized for it. And it's like, no, you don't need to apologize for it. You've had a child. I've had a child.
Yeah.
It just things take a hit. Limit your work in progress.
Absolutely, well, my focus, right?
But this year, say both got 1-year-olds and other children now, and like kind of life's a bit more, got our processes and our systems in place. So we're gonna up the ante a bit more this year and turn it into a business.
Okay.
Our pillars always have been guide, educate, and support. So guiding people out of the military with stupid questions and helping them understand what agile coach means, or scrum master means, or product owner, that type of, all different types of role. Not the generic, I want to be a project manager, which is quite common for most service leavers now. And then the education part is linking to people like yourself, Matt Odell, Ryan Brook, John Barrett, lots of different trainers that can help them and formalize their experience into an actual qualification that will help them open doors, and then support them into careers. So the thing we haven't done, or we've done ad hoc, is link them to recruiters. But as things kind of we have to put food on the table at home. We want to put more effort into the Agile group. So we want to start it as a business and partner with a few recruitment agencies and clients or big consultancies that are looking for people that can hit the ground running, have experience delivering in complex industries and environments at pace, and just get stuff done. And you only have to look from the senior levels of cabinet with Al Cairns and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, who's the Portsmouth MP, both veterans in the Parliament getting stuff done, cutting red tape out of the way, and getting people just delivering stuff. And down to kind of people like myself and Jake Rowley, who kind of doing delivery manager, agile team lead roles that are just helping things move along.
Yeah.
And the value of that for businesses is not intangible, but it's very
Impactful.
impactful. Yeah. So
Well, listen, Wayne, thanks for your time. Had a great time talking to you,
yeah, you too, mate.
and we'll catch up again soon.